on Sunday nights is when I do my weekly review and kind of a weekly preview into next week of what am I going to get done. That's when I fill in my dates and my calendar and see if there's any places where I need to think about blocking some additional time so people can't jump in there if I'm trying to focus on something. And then it's a tool that I use. There's every day a place to put what you're grateful for and what the best thing for the day was. And sometimes those are things when you go back and look at the week, you're like, wow, I really did have some big wins this week. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Accounting with Confidence. I'm your host, Beth Whitworth, and today I'm here to just talk about a few of my favorite things. Actually, just 3 of them. And these are things that I use almost on a daily basis and have been using them for years. And I will start out by saying I am absolutely not an affiliate for any of these products, but I will see what links I can put in the show notes to help you get to the people that make these tools. So I'm finding it hard to believe, but we're at episode 49. So I'm almost at episode 50. And I realized that this podcast it started in late 2022 and it had a couple of hiatuses, but we are currently on a roll. So what I'm going to ask you right now is if you haven't yet subscribed on YouTube or followed me on LinkedIn or followed me in wherever you're listening to this, if you can, give me a subscription, that would help get more eyes on my podcast, or ears, I should say, too, because for me, I'm still an avid podcast listener. I don't really listen to podcasts or watch podcasts on YouTube. But I do provide both formats. So I would love it if you would get in there and take that action and just subscribe, like, comment, anything, just to kind of help as I'm starting to get some traction here by having episodes every week. So I would love that. Okay. But now we're going to start with my favorite things. And we're going to start in the order that I started using them. Okay. So the first one is called a full focus planner. And you can see I'm a color pen junkie. But what this planner is, it's from Full Focus, and it was produced by Michael Hyatt, he's a writer and a kind of an expert in kind of teaching people how to get better with their time and their time management and be good leaders. And there was a book that he has that is this one. It's called Free to Focus. And it kind of goes through some ways to really help you achieve more by not working more, but by doing less and kind of organizing and those types of things. So I was kind of pulled into this planner by Amy Porterfield back in 2019. And so she was teaching a Digital Course Academy and she is a well-known person in the industry for teaching digital courses. And she said she and her team used this Full Focus planner. And what it is so it's quarterly. And I will say it's not cheap. It's not the cheapest planner you're going to get. But I have actually been using this quarterly since 2019, so for a year. And every quarter you could kind of go through and recap your goals, your annual goals. There's a place to put your goal details. But for me, it's the meat of the week that they have in here. And my favorite part is the weekly preview. And so you can kind of see I've got it written on all over that. If you're listening, just know that it's the one I choose is a book format, and it's fairly small but not tiny, because I do like to write and my handwriting is not very small. But in this weekly preview, it gives you a chance to review your weekly wins, how'd you do on getting big 3 done. So that big 3 are the 3 things during the week that you want to get done that will help you achieve your goals. It has a place to track how you felt about your self-care, how your streak tracker. So for me, the streak tracker is tracking my sleep. Did I get at least 8 hours? It's tracking my exercise. How many days a week did I get exercise in? I will track whether or not I made a meal plan, because sometimes I get off track with that. And I do much better if I know what I'm going to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so there's a place in this particular planner that each day you can put your meal plan in there. I also track things like reading. So I started earlier this year a habit of starting my day with some reading. And I know a lot of people do that, and they do it probably with some nonfiction, some professional development, maybe some reading of Bible passages. For me, I take that time in the morning and read fiction. And that is just kind of sets a tone for me. And I notice on the days that I don't start my day doing that, where I've kind of relaxed and kind of gotten out of that feeling of, okay, all the mind going on what do I need to get done today, which sometimes when I'm reading a professional development book, I can kind of stray. When I'm in a good fiction book, I'm able to just focus on that. And so that's what I do. But this weekly preview gives a chance for you to recap and think about, what can I do better next week? What am I going to focus on next week? It's got some basic calendar stuff. But then on the day to day, and I do keep a digital calendar, but I also write my week in here. And so these calendars are undated. They just have the day of the week. So then you can put the date in, and it has a place to track your joy level for the day, your stress level for the day. Did you get movement in? Did you drink water? So it's a combination of keeping on track for business and also your wellness. And this planner, they came out with the wellness version of this planner last year. And I really like it because I was kind of keeping track of things in a separate habit tracker, where I was tracking my water or my exercise. And now I can kind of all do it all in one. But this is the planner that I use on Sunday nights, is when I do my weekly review and kind of a weekly preview into next week of what am I going to get done. That's when I fill in my dates and my calendar and see if there's any places where I need to think about blocking some additional time in my electronic calendar so people can't jump in there if I'm trying to focus on something. And then it's a tool that I use. I go back, there's a place to write in how many hours of sleep you got. So if you're tracking it in some form, I just track it through my Apple Watch. There's every day a place to put what you're grateful for and what the best thing for the day was. And sometimes those really, really are things when you go back and look at the week, you're like, wow, I really did have some big wins this week, or I really made some great connections or had some, whatever it is. And I use this for both kind of business and personal stuff. So my world is very mixed. I don't keep a separate business and personal calendar. So this is Full Focus Wellness Planner. They come in different sizes. They come in different, like you can get a coil version. You could get more of a full size version. You could get a mini version, and it's at fullfocus.com, I do believe. They have subscriptions. So what I do is I'm on an annual subscription that they ship me for every August. And for me, I am not someone who has to start it on the first day of a calendar quarter. I just start it wherever I am. And usually it ends around the end of a month. And so I'm starting at the beginning of a month, but it's not always on the quarter. So really great. I use it pretty much every single day. I will say, don't use it a whole lot when I'm on vacation or on trips. And then to repeat, Free to Focus. That is the Michael Hyatt book. So that is tool number one that I love and I use all the time. Tool number two is a Remarkable. And if you've heard of that, it is a note-taking device that is an electronic note-taking device that has its own stylus. And so one of my love languages with my husband is he gives me electronics. And so my first Remarkable was, I believe, an anniversary present, maybe for our 25th wedding anniversary, maybe I don't know, might have been a little earlier than that. I've been using it since 2021. And this is my second one because after they came out with a new one a year or so ago that has the ability to use color. And as you saw with my full focus planner, I have a bunch of colors that I use, and it kind of depends on my mood. They don't always stay the same. But in this, it is really amazing. And what I was looking for when I started it was to get rid of the Post-it notes and notepads that had accumulated on my desk. And I would take a note. I would have a notepad and be taking notes when I'm talking to a client or a team member. And okay, these are things that need to happen. And what I always struggled with after that was getting those notes to a place where other people on the team could see them, or getting them onto an action item list so that I could do follow-ups. There was a whole lot of problems with that. And I used to have folders full of, I would just kind of sweep them off my desk and put them into a folder. And it was like the notes I had to go through and get that information into the client record. Not a great system. And as we were starting to go more and more paperless, this became an issue because we weren't putting things in an actual paper file. We were putting them, into some sort of cloud storage and an electronic version of these notes. So scanning a Post-it note, if you've ever tried it, it's not fun. And it actually makes usually sticks somewhere, or you got to tape it down. And so I needed to do something. So again, this was recommended from the same course with Amy Porterfield. She had talked about a Remarkable, and I went and investigated, and I was like, ooh, this looks like a tool that I could use. So I have been using this since 2021. And what it allows you to do is to take notes. You can see I've got a list here of different templates, I've highlighted things. So it takes to my handwriting. And for me, when I'm writing something versus typing it, when I'm taking notes, I tend to retain it. I'm a writer. I need the actual physical action of using a pen and paper. And this has replaced it. The other great tool with this, so once you've taken these notes, you have an app that you can upload the notes. So it turns it into a PDF. Or you can turn it into text. You can take that PDF and you can save it to your client records as, whatever it is, notes from meeting on such and such a day, or brainstorming list of, whatever it is. You can save it into a digital format. What I've also used this tool for is transferring it into typed text. And it's not perfect on that because it really has to figure out your handwriting. But once you've done that, you can then take that text and put it into one of your tools that uses AI to organize it, or turn it into an outline, or pull out the key items of what the action items are. So there's all of those great things. So the initial use for this for me was to replace all of the little pieces of paper and pads of paper. I used to have in all sizes, from full size, whole piece of paper to, small pads of paper to spiral steno notebooks. I had them everywhere. And so this has eliminated that. I have to dig to find a Post-it note now, which is probably good. The thing I discovered with it more recently, I would say, in the last couple years, is a huge winner for me. And that is you can upload PDFs yourself. And this comes into play in two different ways for me. One is that if I have a template, so I have a discovery call template. When I'm talking to a potential new client, I have a checklist. And it had always been in Excel, and, and we'd print it out and it was on paper, and then it ended up having to get scanned. So now I've taken that Excel checklist and I've printed it to a PDF and uploaded it blank, except for as a template, into my Remarkable. And so it gives me the template but it also still gives me the ability to write. Like I said, that's how I retain. That is where I'm more comfortable. That's where I can stay more engaged when I'm on a call than if I'm trying to type. And I'm a fast typer, but it's just a thing for me. So using, you can create any type of template you want and bring it in as a PDF. And then when you go to use it, you just duplicate it inside your Remarkable, name it, John Doe meeting on whatever date. And then you can upload it through the app and you've got it essentially attached to that client file or that prospect file. The other key thing with the uploading of PDFs I have found, as conferences have changed from essentially passing out paper and workbooks and different things when you're at a conference, instead they have those as PDFs in an app that you're using for, to sign up for what session you're going to, or to see the copies of the slides that the presenters are preparing. And so what you can do is you can take those workbooks that are in a PDF format and you can pull them into your Remarkable and you can fill them in there. So instead of having to worry about ahead of a conference, printing out a bunch of stuff, carrying it around, and then finally having to scan it when you get home or go through it, you can do those in here, in this Remarkable. And so where you can't see it, under my desk, I have a rolling bin of 3-ring notebooks from different courses that I've taken over time, where I printed out all of the lessons and filled in the worksheets by hand and 3-hole punched everything and put them into different 3-ring binders. And what this allows you to do is organize your information inside this Remarkable. You can organize in folders. I took the time recently, because I'd been in it so long, and went in and added some years. So where I had prospects as a folder, I went in and organized it by year. And so put those prospect notes by year. And I can clean them out now that I've uploaded those to our software for maintaining our client files, but I haven't, and I haven't run out of space. So cons for this probably are you got to keep it charged. It does have a very long battery life. The stylus itself, on the color version, it charges when it's magnetically attached to the side of the tablet itself. It only does note taking. You are not going to access the internet. It's not an iPad. And for me, that's fine. I need to be very focused. And so I use it for all kinds of things. On this color version, I used it to design a tattoo. I've done all kinds of stuff. I can design quilt patterns or color quilt patterns, or, do all kinds of things. It comes loaded with templates. And then it also has a whole bunch of other templates that you can go and download and use. So I have a meeting minutes one that is nice and structured. It's got some project management type tools that you can import. Love it. I use it almost every single day. So Remarkable. It's REMARKABLE. And I believe this is the Remarkable 2.0 maybe. And it's a little bigger than the first version. And like I said, it has color, the ability to highlight, the ability to write in color. It has a few more options as far as thickness of the pen, style of writing, those types of things. I will say this too, it has a stylus tip, and this is like the only consumable of this. And so I think I've had this one for getting close to a year, and I've only changed the tip once, and I use it all the time. So it probably depends on how much pressure you use, but just saying. Okay, so that is favorite thing number 2. Favorite thing number 3 was a game changer for me. And I've had this now for several years. I want to say probably 3 years. And what it is, and for those who are listening, I'm sorry, I'm going to do a little demonstration here, but it is a monitor extender for my laptop. And mine is called a SideTrack. And how this attaches to the laptop is magnetically. So you place a magnetic plate on the back of your laptop, and then you are able to attach this. I'm going to show this to you, but you attach it and it's very secure. When it attaches, it clicks really loud. And then I'm able to open my laptop and have 2 screens. So, like I said, with this, it was a game changer. When we went paperless, I still always had a laptop. I have a desktop. I mean, I sit here. This workstation that I sit at when I'm recording has 3 giant monitors, but I'm on my laptop a lot. And a lot of times I like to work with a change of scenery. And so I will sit on the couch or go to the dining room table, or when I'm traveling, this is where it kicked in. It was very difficult. I used to travel with taking an extra full-size monitor to plug into my laptop in the hotel room. And that only works if you're driving to your location. If you're flying, not so much. So I started looking at these. I had seen someone that had something similar at an event, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I started researching them. And I got this one on Amazon for about, I would say around $300 about 3 years ago. And it came with 2 magnetic plates. So if you switch laptops, you have that extra one so that you don't have to unstick it and try to restick it to the new laptop. And I have done that since I've had this. It allows me to do everything you do when you have dual monitors. So when I'm traveling, I actually can kick this out and sit. We're in the truck a lot. We're driving to races. I'm the passenger. It's compact enough and it's attached firmly to the laptop that I can actually work and review tax returns, because everything's paperless. And so we have work papers and we have the tax return. I need those on 2 different screens. There's so much that I was limited in doing, or I could do it, but it would take a lot longer. So got this sidetrack. I forgot to read all the instructions. And so it was a little bit into it before I realized that based on the power of your laptop, you might have to use 2 cables, a USB and a HDMI at the same time. I thought it was an either or, and I struggled a little bit with it staying connected. And then I went back and troubleshooted, and it said, well, plug in both. And since I did that, perfect. So it is small enough and that it fits in I would say like a tablet type of, I think I have it. It's a tablet one. This is actually one I got from Zero, that it fits securely, perfectly, good size. And then I can put it in the same bag with my laptop, and I can travel with it by plane as well. And it is phenomenal. So it is powered by plugging both cords into the laptop. There is no extra power source. They come in a couple of different varieties. I got the one that attaches directly because I knew I would be using it inside of a vehicle a lot. If you're just looking for, you typically have a laptop and you maybe are limited in space. I know I got one for Sarah that is not attached to the laptop, that sits next to it, but still a small size, not something that's going to take up a whole lot of space. And I love this thing. And like I said, I got it on Amazon. Since then, so it's been, like I said, probably getting close to 4 years that I've been having this. I've seen vendors like at Scaling New Heights that have booths for selling these types of accessories. So very cool. If you struggle with needing to constantly find extra, laptop space, this is a very convenient tool, and I love it. I love it. So I'll see if I can find an Amazon link that we can put in the show notes so that you can check them out. And like I said, it was a game changer. So all 3 of these tools, my planner, this planner, I was a planner hopper. So I tried everything. I felt like I tried everything. I had stuff from just different people who were putting planners out, and I tried them. And this, like I said, I've been in it since 2019, 2020. And That's the longest I've ever stuck with a planner. So this year I actually shared the planner with the rest of my team, and some it resonated with them and some like their own system. I don't have a problem with that. This one worked for me. The Remarkable, like I said, if you are in a paperless environment and you miss the let me write this down on paper, that's something that is very satisfying to have that Remarkable, and also have the ability to get that information into someplace that others can get to it. There's also, with the Remarkable, I didn't mention, there's an app for the phone. So you can, like when I'm at those conferences and need to download or upload those PDFs into the Remarkable, I can do it right there on my phone. It's amazing. So, and then the Sidetrack. So the Sidetrack is the monitor extender essentially for my laptop, and love it. So I never leave home without it, except when I know I'm going straight to my brick and mortar office. I still have an office there, and I have a docking station there that I can just plug in a USB and it connects to my 2 monitors and my camera and my scanner and my printers and all of those things. And so I don't need it there because I just plug the laptop straight into a docking station, but everywhere else. So when I go to Starbucks and work for a while, or, go anywhere, I can take it outside, and I love it. So those are my current favorite things. And I hope you will try something, whether it's one of these, or even if this sparks an idea that, hey, this is something that I think I need in my life. Yeah, do it. And send me a message. So where you're listening to this, there's a link that says Connect with Beth, and that will send me a text and let me know if you tried it, if you didn't try it, or even just what you think of, my show. Anything. And remember to like and subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. Send me a comment, send me a DM, anything. I would love to interact with you, and I would really like to continue to see us grow as we're approaching this milestone episode of episode 50. And so I think that's a great milestone, and I'm very excited about it. So, okay, everybody. As you know, I want to empower you to build a business that you love